Hello everyone, my name is Hugo of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, and tonight we're going to attempt a feat that we believe is unprecedented in the history of theater. That is to capture in a single theatrical experience the magic, the genius, the towering grandeur of the comedies of William Shakespeare. Now, we have a lot to get through tonight, so at this time I'd like to introduce a member of the company who is one of New York's preeminent Shakespearean scholars. She's getting a middle school diploma from Seoul, where I believe she read 2 books about William Shakespeare. She is here tonight to provide a brief preface to the comedies of William Shakespeare. Please join me in welcoming Miss Samantha Huxtable.
Thank you, Hugo. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. William Shakespeare, playwright, poet, actor, philosopher, a man whose creative and literary genius has had an immensely profound influence upon the consciousness and culture of the entire English-speaking world. And yet, how much do we, inhabitants of the 21st century, really know and appreciate the immense body of work contained in this single volume? Too little, I would argue. I believe I can illustrate this point by conducting a brief poll here amongst our audience. If I may have the house lights up for just a moment, please. Now, you are a theater-going crowd, and above-average cultural and literary awareness. And yet, if I may have a brief show of hands as to how many of you have ever seen or read any play by William Shakespeare. Any contact with the bar, just raise your hand. I think they know more than we do. We better get out of here.
Don't worry about it.
No, I think we better start running now.
They don't know Shakespeare from shawarma. Just keep going.
What should I do?
Narrow it down.
What?
Narrow it down.
Let's see if we can narrow it down a bit, shall we? How many of you have ever seen or read, let's say, Also That Ends Well? Yeah. That seems to be separated from the draft rather nicely. Let's find out who the true Shakespeare trivia champs are tonight. How many of you have ever seen or read King John? King John, anyone? You have? Really? Would you mind telling us what it's about?
Sure, it's about a hunchback.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, right, you laugh, you scoff, ladies and gentlemen. But this face, ladies and gentlemen, represents all of your faces. This empty brain represents your empty brains. Those glazed eyes are your glazed eyes. These teeth are your teeth, and they cry out, "Floss me." Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that our society's collective capacity to comprehend, much less attain the genius of William Shakespeare, has been systematically compromised by computers, vandalized by video games, saturated with reality TV, and dealt its death blow by none other than George W. Bush. But have no fear. The British Shakespeare Company is here. Join us in taking these first steps towards intellectual redemption.
Yes, please, open your hearts and your pocketbooks.
Use your cash, sweetie friends, and deduct them in the taxi rents.
All right, on the show.
And may the bard be with you.
So, those of you who own a copy of the book know that no collection is complete without a brief biography of the life of William Shakespeare. Providing this portion of the show will be the 3rd member of the Reduced Shakespeare Company. That's right, it's me. Take a shot.
Let me help you.
No. Don't touch them. They go in order.
Okay.
So, I've been just taking a few notes on Shakespeare's life so we could get the show off to a good start and you can know the stuff he did and everything.
Just get on with it.
Okay. William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was born in 1564 in the town of Stratford-upon-Avon. The 3rd of 8 children, he was the eldest son of John Shakespeare, a locally prominent merchant, and Mary Urden, daughter of a Roman, Catholic member, named the gentry. In 1582, he married Anne Hathaway.
She won Oscars.
Bummer's daughter. Oh. He is supposed to have left Stratford after he was caught poaching in a deer park of a local justice of the peace. There he was faced with the reality that his baby mama's long and winding road to divorce from the basketball star Chris Humphries showed no signs of waning.
What?
An emotion put forward by Kim last month. Last month? Production said, I firmly believe that an immediate dissolution of our marriage will help create a new full life for me. One chapter will be finished, and another can begin. With Mr. Wllm Shakespeare. Thank you.
What was that? All worlds a stage, and all men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. One man in his time plays many parts. One man in his time plays many parts. How true, how true. Now, when it came to the comedies, Shakespeare was a genius at borrowing and adapting plot devices from different theatrical traditions.
These influences include the Roman plays of Plautus, Terence, Ovid's Metamorphoses, which were hysterically funny, not, and the rich Italian tradition of Commedia dell'arte.
So basically, Shakespeare stole everything he ever wrote.
Stole is kind of a strong word, dude. Distilled, maybe.
Well, then maybe distilled 3 or 4 funniest gimmicks of his time, and then he milked them to 16 plays.
You see, essentially Shakespeare was a formula writer. Once he found a device that worked, he used it over and over and over again.
So, Mr. Shakespeare, the question we have for you is this.
Why did you write 16 comedies when you could have written just one?
In answer to this question, we have taken the liberty of condensing all of Shakespeare's 16 comedies into a single one, which we have entitled The Comedy of Two Well-Measured Gentlemen Lost in the Merry Waters of Venice on a Midsummer's Twelfth Night in Winter.
Cymbeline taming Pericles, the merchant in the tempest of love, as much as you like it for nothing.
Or
A booze cruise goes to Verona.
Comedy.
Comedy?
Comedy. Act 1. A Spanish Duke swears an oath of celibacy and turns the rule of his kingdom over to his sadistic and tyrannical twin brother. He learns some fantastical feats of magic and sets sail for the golden age of Greece along with his daughters. Three beautiful and identical twins. While rounding the hill of Italy, the Duke's ship is caught in a terrible tempest, which in its fury casts the Duke up on a desert island, along with his daughters, who stumbles into a cave, where she is manhandled by a creature, who is either a man, or a fish, or both.
Act 2. The long-lost children of the Duke's brother, also 3 sets of twins, have just arrived in Italy. Though still possessed of nobility, they are ragged, destitute, penniless, fleeing past the shadows of the men that once were, and in the utmost extremity, are forced to borrow money from the old Jewish guy who deceived them into putting down their brains as collateral on the loan. Meanwhile, the 6 brothers fall in love with 6 Italian sisters. Three of whom are contentious, sharp-tongued little shrews, while the other 3 are air-headed little bimbos.
Yeah, totally. Act 3. The shipwrecked identical daughters of the Duke wash up on the shores of Italy. They disguise themselves as men and become pages to the shrews, and matchmakers to the Duke's brother's sons. They lead all of the lovers into a nearby forest. Wow, the mischievous fairies squeeze the Aphroditic juice of a hermaphrodite
stories of the Italian sisters finding their daughters missing, dispatch messages to the pages, telling them to kill any man in the vicinity.
However, when they would defend men in the forest, the faithful messengers, in a final, misguided act of loyalty, delivered the messages to each other and killed themselves.
The fish creature and the Duke arrived in the forest disguised as Russians.
Всем привет! Кто хочет водка?
And for no apparent reason, performed a two-man underwater juggling act in Moscow Circus.
Act 5!
The Duke commands the fairies to right their wrongs.
Pages and Bimbos get into nag-out, drag-out fight in the mud.
The pages' clothes get ripped off, revealing female genitalia.
The Duke recognizes his daughters.
The Duke's brother's sons recognize their uncle.
The queen realizes she's in love with a jackass.
And they all get married and go out to dinner.
Except for a minor character in the second act who gets eaten by Vader.
I heard about that.
And the Duke's brother's sons who, enabled to pay back Jewish guy, give themselves lobotomies. And they all live happily ever after. Thank you. Yes, yes. Merci. Arigato gozaimasu. Oh, we just wanted to say thank you.
We also wanted to let you know we're performing on Broadway next month with special guest star Brett Michaels.
So, if you enjoyed the show, tell your friends. If you did not, tell your enemies.
Thanks again for coming. I'm David.
I'm Sam.
I'm Hugo, and we are... Wait, who are you?
Oh, it's Owen?
He's Owen. And we are the Reduced Shakespeare Company.